Good morning, Wakies. It's the first day of autumn. I know this is the 21st. Day of autumn playlist, a very busy show. We'll definitely have a lot of review of the memorial from yesterday. We'll have Ted Maxwell, Southern Arizona Leadership Council, Regional Transportation Authority in studio in the second hour, and then Brother Joe, Blue Chip Planning in the third hour. So many things to cover today on a busy first day of autumn. But we're going to take a point of personal privilege here. And I want to thank our intrepid viewer, listener, supporter, Betsy, who is one of the craziest supporters of the Mini Time Museum I've ever met in my life. But it crosses where we have a positive Monday into my jam, which is, of course, the work of the great Ray Harryhausen, who I grew up with all of the movies. So this is a personal geek moment for DeSimone. So we're making it happen today. So we have on the video screen, we have Ray's daughter, Vanessa. We have Connor, who is the collections manager. And then in Tucson is Emily, the curator from the Mini Time Museum. So through the miracle of technology, good morning to all of you.
Good morning,
everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And Vanessa and Connor, and where are you guys connecting in from the UK?
We're in Scotland just now, so we're Edinburgh, Scotland.
Beautiful.
So it's not quite as early for us. It's 2 p.m. here.
Well, welcome to Wake Up Show. Appreciate it. Again, long admirer of Vanessa's dad's work. It's part of my childhood, as we like to say. So, Emily, I'm going to start with you. How did the Ray Harryhausen, which is opening up as a special exhibit at the Mini Time Museum, I think September 30th is the opener? Is that true?
Yes, it officially opens September 30th. Yep, and it's going to go through May 3rd.
How did this get on your how did this amazing thing get on your radar? I mean, I've been there a couple of times with Betsy, and tell me, how did this happen?
Yeah. So we've actually been working on it since pre-pandemic. We were slowed down, of course. The pandemic affected that, but we've been in talks with the foundation for some time now, and it's finally here. And just to why the museum, why Ray Harryhausen? Well, the museum, as you know, does feature many dollhouse miniatures, but we're always trying to expand the scope of what miniatures are and how they're used through different cultures and also through different industries. So I know that we just had that incredible exhibit of David Corran's work. He's the Broadway producer, and we had the miniature set models of Hamilton and Beetlejuice and Dear Evan Hansen, so showing how miniatures are used in theater set design. And so this is a great opportunity to show how miniatures are used in the film industry, in particular in special effects and stop motion. So that's why we've got Ray Harryhausen.
Beautiful. Vanessa, I wanted to ask you, as a daughter of this amazing man, your dad, Ray, did you know, as he was making all of his little models and doing his stuff, that he would become an influence to the Steven Spielbergs, George Lucases, and Peter Jacksons in the future?
No, not really, and nor did he. He was very humbled at the BAFTAs and the academies when everybody gave him these wonderful accolades and awards and everything. That he never thought about it. It was just really a job that he really enjoyed to do and for the public.
So talk a little bit about your dad. How did he even get into this? Because I think he started in the 50s, late 50s doing?
Yeah, that's correct. And he was very influenced. Sorry,
I apologize for stepping on you there a little bit. How did he get into doing miniatures and then stop motion animation?
It was actually, we were going all the way back to the 1930s. Ray was taken to see the original King Kong from 1933, just before his 13th birthday. And he walked away from that showing. He told his parents, "That's what I want to do. Whatever that was, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life." And he did it. And from there, Vanessa's grandparents turned their garage into a small studio for him, and he began experimenting. And in the exhibit at the Mini Time Museum, you're going to see some of Ray's very earliest works, things that he made when he was 15 years old, all the way through to classic pieces from movies such as Jason and the Argonauts and Clash of the Titans.
Dad, when he was much younger, when he was older, shall I say, that he was not happy with me bringing some of the stuff back from LA that I found in one of the garages. And some of them were the little puppets that he started off when he was in his teens. And I thought it was very interesting and important for the younger folk to understand that wonderful folk like my dad and Steven Spielberg didn't just suddenly miraculously become these wonderful animators. They had to really work hard and do this. So we've got some of the very pre-stuff that Dad did to show the youngsters that it's okay. You can start young and you can start with not so good a stuff and then develop into something, more beautiful.
What was Ray's subject matter when he was younger and before he got into movies and doing dinosaurs and mythological creatures? What was the early subject matter for Ray?
Well, all I know is that he was really, I'm sorry to say it again, Kong, about that film. And he just wanted everything. He wanted to know about everything with that. So that's what really influenced him. And he loved natural history and all sorts of things and different artists and stuff. So there's a whole plethora of stuff that influenced Dad growing up.
What was the early miniatures look like? What are they? What are they of? What do they depict?
Well, some of them were little cartoons. Like there's one called Snafu, and he did the fairy tales. Some of the fairy tales.
Okay.
And we've even got a sculpture he did when he was 17 years old of a copy of a Remington of a cowboy falling off a horse. And it is extraordinary. It really is. That at that age you can be so talented, and it's mind-blowingly amazing.
Is that going to be at the Tucson exhibit?
No, not this time. No.
We have some of the very early marionettes, as I mentioned, that depict skeletons and King Kong. And they're quite rudimentary. They're obviously his first attempts at building these models, but there's a lot of interesting foreshadowing there because he was making skeletons as a teenager. And then, of course, some of his most famous creations are the skeletons from Jason and the Argonauts. That sequence really became his defining contribution to cinema history. So it's really interesting to see these themes reappear throughout his life, both as a very young man and as an accomplished filmmaker.
If you're just clicking in on the on our app that a lot of people listen to in their vehicles, we're talking about the Ray Harryhausen Miniature Models of Silver Screen exhibit coming to the Mini Time Museum on September 30th. And we have Emily, who's the curator of the Mini Time Museum here in Tucson, and then Ray's daughter, Vanessa, and Connor back in Scotland. And what was the first paying gig for Ray Harryhausen using one of his models, Vanessa or Connor? What was the first time he made money in a motion picture using his models?
Well, so Ray's first motion picture, he worked with his hero and idol, Willis O'Brien, on Mighty Joe Young in 1949.
Oh, wow.
That was the first feature film he worked on. You remember that one, the black and white version?
He did get his monkey movie, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
Indeed, yeah. Well, Mighty Joe Young was really a kind of sequel to King Kong. It featured some of the same actors and the same producers, and of course Willis O'Brien, the animator, the man who had brought King Kong to life. So Ray worked on that film as sort of first assistant. He worked very closely with Willis O'Brien. It's actually estimated that Ray contributed about 90% of the animation on that film, which went on to win an Oscar for Best Special Effects. So it's a pretty good start in your film career when your first movie receives an Academy Award.
Absolutely. And then, moving on, right? For me, I grew up with the Sinbad movies, right? That was definitely part of my childhood. And then then we got to the first Clash of the Titans. And then he just, that seemed to be the perfection of his work was Clash of the Titans. So again, to me, the Medusa is one of the greatest special effects creatures, other than the skeletons in Jason and the Argonauts. I think that's one of just the way it moves and does its thing. It's amazingly fascinated for still doing stop motion in the 80s when George Lucas was running around blowing up everything with ILM. So talk about perfecting the craft by the time he got to the Medusa and the works and even that annoying owl in Clash of the Titans. That's not his fault.
Everybody loves Booble the Owl. If you come to the exhibition in Tucson, you'll see lots of Booble the Owl tattoos. He's a real fan favorite. I agree with what you're
putting
saying.
Boobo on their skin. Is that what you're telling me, Connor?
Yeah,
People love
very much,
more than any other creature. We see people all the time who come to us and say, "Look what I've got on my arm," and it's Boobo. So that's beloved character. But you're right in saying Clash of the Titans, because that was Ray's final film, and he was really distilling his decades of experience in the film industry by that point. He'd been making movies for up nearly 40 years by that point, and he really distilled his craft into a movie which has more creatures in it than all of the Sinbad films put together. It was really it was a film that had his biggest budget to date, and the Medusa sequence is just this wonderful piece of cinema. The music, the lighting, the sound effects, and of course Ray's fluid animation for an iconic creature. So I think, looking back at Clash of the Titans, that film celebrates its 45th anniversary next year, and it's I know it's one that is close to many people's hearts. Ray really ended his film career on a high. Vanessa, you were there. You were there when it was being made.
Yeah, I was on set on that and two of the Sinbad films too, which was really lovely to see. He worked hard behind the scenes when everybody had taken time to go on to either another film or whatever. He was still animating, and it just takes time doing all those snakes and everything and remembering which one you moved.
Yeah. Well, that was my take on that. Was so cool is that usually Medusa is depicted as a human woman with the snakes on her hair, right? We've seen it in other things. So the idea that that she was this horrible snake-like creature that was killing people with a bow and arrow. I don't know if that was a Ray decision or the director decision, but it was a good evolution of that mythological character.
It was probably a Ray decision.
Well, he always liked animating snakes. They work really well for his style of stop motion animation. So snakes, whenever he could incorporate them, he always tried to.
So after saying that was his last movie, was just this the idea that technology caught up and no one wanted to do that anymore? Why was Clash of the Titans Ray's last movie?
Well, he said to Mum and me that he knew that he had to quit at some point, and he felt that was the perfect time to stop. He was tired, and it's very hard doing that on your own, and the pressures and stuff like that. So he just thought it was the right time, and he sort of didn't really properly retire because people wanted to come and open and venues and see different monster bashes and all sorts of different things that he went to, and then he was there to advise people and see studios and stuff. So people still wanted to see him even though he was retired.
Again, the work that he did, he didn't choose anything that was easy to work on. Right? No. I mean, it was always pushing. So even the skeletons in Jason and the Argonaut, all of those little movements of multiple skeletons, living skeletons that are fighting multiple real actors, when you look at that had to be excuse my vernacular, pain in the ass to film.
This is what's interesting, though, because
fancy people say.
Yeah.
The films existed because of Ray Harryhausen. So he would draw these wonderful pieces of concept art, and many of those will be on display at the museum, and he'd present them to the producers of the film and say, this is going to be the set piece for the new movie. And if that film was given the green light, then Ray was able to create the special effects sequences to his own sort of vision. No one was asking him to make things this complicated. When it comes to something like the skeletons from Jason and the Argonauts, it was really Ray wanted to put something on screen that nobody had ever seen before. He wanted it to be excellent. It's not like he had someone standing behind him telling him to make it look as good as it did. It was really just his own commitment to the craft of stop motion animation. And, 60 years later, it still looks as good as it did when it was first released. It's still this incredible piece of technical and cinematic genius.
I mean, that scene alone took how long?
4.5 months.
For 4.5 months. And how long do you see it on screen? 5 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, 6 minutes is what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And again, even the multi-armed Kali statue in one of the I'm trying to remember which of the
Golden Voyage.
Golden Voyage, unbelievable. I mean, when you go back and look at it, what that's like late 60s, that movie, right?
No.
Early 1970s.
Early 70s, even for early. That is some of the most mind-blowing animation you'll ever see, overall. Not just it's 1972 or whatever it is. So.
And this was what Ray did, I suppose, is that if you think of special effects films before the 1950s, they usually involved some kind of creature on the rampage in an American city, destroying buildings. Whereas Ray, Washington, or so many cities around the world. But what Ray was really able to do with the Sinbad films was dip into this menagerie of mythical creations from throughout history and throughout the world, and show people something that they'd never seen before, and really have them looking on in wonder.
Hate to tell you, no one's done that one since 50 years later of something like the Kali statue. Just gonna leave that one there. What's an animation of Ray's that maybe isn't one of the more popular things, but he was really proud of? What's something that, because we talked about Sinbad and Argonauts and things like, or maybe out of any of those, what is one or two of the things that he was very proud of that he accomplished?
I think from the Golden Voyage, this film that you just mentioned, you might remember the homunculus, which is brought to life by Tom Baker. And there's something really special going on there because Ray's
Tom Baker
acting,
and your dad. I'm there.
Yeah.
And it's quite a sensitive piece of animation because Tom Baker's bringing this creature to life in the same way that Ray brought his own creations to life. There's a nice parallel there, and it really shows how Ray was able to act through his models and through his creatures. He was really expressing himself through the medium of stop motion animation. And Vanessa, you mentioned there the Hydra, and the Hydra will also be on display.
Yeah, the Hydra, it will be on display too. So that took time, and that's beautiful with the iconic swish of the tail. And same with the dinosaurs, you can see the beautiful swish. He's got a certain technique for doing certain movements and that, which are iconic.
Are there any unfinished projects that Ray wanted to get to that he never got to? Like there's models of, but were never used?
There are loads, actually, yeah.
People in the Mist, there's a one called People in the Mist, and there was...
Well, you were talking there about Ray retiring after Clash of the Titans, but that wasn't an instant decision. There were a few projects that he had on the go, so to speak. An unrealized sequel to Clash of the Titans was named Force of the Trojans, and that film would have focused on Roman mythology as opposed to Greek mythology. In that film, we have creature designs and location scouting and storyboards and things and a script for that movie, which ultimately was never realized. One of Vanessa's fellow trustees here at the foundation has written a book, Harryhausen, The Lost Movies, which explores all of these films. So John Walsh looked into our archive and discovered that for every movie that Ray did make, there were 3 or 4 projects which never made it to the big screen. So we have this amazing menagerie of unfilmed projects and visions here in the Foundation's collection. So Ray really needed this bag of tricks, I suppose, to pull ideas from, because if the producer said no to one movie, then he needed to have
another idea, yeah.
Are any of the models from the unfinished movies or unrealized movies coming to Arizona?
Not in this specific exhibition. What we really tried to do for this display was get something from all of Ray's feature films as well as from material from his early days, because we really want to focus on this idea of the miniature models. The exhibition's title is Miniature Models of the Silver Screen.
Gotcha.
So this idea of scale and of how different mediums were used to create a film, everything from a basic sketch through to a wonderfully complicated model like Medusa or the Hydra. And so there's something from each of Ray's movies in this exhibition in Arizona. And you can explore further, of course, through all of the resources on the Ray and Diana Harryhausen Foundation's websites and YouTube channels if you want to find out more.
I love it. David, I'm going to ask Emily a question. Bring up number 3, which is the picture of the Medusa. I want to get that on the screen real quick. It was funny. I was telling some of my buddies back in New York, I'm a New York City kid original who loved a lot of Ray's movies, that this was happening. And my friend Kevin, whose kid's in his 20s right now, literally said, the Medusa from Clash of the Titans terrified my son when he was younger and probably still sees it in a nightmare once in a while. So I love it. So that's how good the Medusa was. But there's the Medusa for all of you watching right now on the Live the Dream Media Network. And again, watch the scene. It's pretty wild. Emily, let's go back to Emily. She's the curator of the Mini Time Museum. Emily, tell me about it. I know it starts on the 30th. It runs through February, I think. But tell us about the kickoff. I think you guys have a movie playing at the Loft. Give me the grand opening of this wonderful exhibit, please.
Yeah, it actually goes till May 3rd. But yep, absolutely. So we are having a really lovely opening reception on the 3rd, but that's Friday the 3rd, but it is sold out. And then we are having a Q&A screening of Jason and the Argonauts. Vanessa and Connor will be in town, and that's going to be at the Loft. That's October 4th. I believe there are still tickets. People should get those tickets, and you can get some behind-the-scenes information from Vanessa herself and see that incredible movie, see those skeletons on the big screen as they were meant to be seen.
Awesome. All right. So how do we get tickets for the exhibit?
So to buy tickets for the exhibit, you can come in person to the museum. You can also buy your tickets online. To go to that screening at the Loft, go directly to the Loft to buy those tickets. You can buy them online or in person at the Loft.
So Vanessa, as you're running the Ray road, kind of the road trip through the world, exhibiting your father's all of his good work. What's the moments of satisfaction for you as Ray's child, doing all this?
Well, it's just very humbling seeing all yourselves out there still, in love with my dad's work, and he would have been thrilled. And that's what gives me the want to carry on and do things and show things for folk, because there's so many young folk out there and animators who are struggling, and hopefully this will inspire more people to think that they can go out and get inspiration from dad's drawings and other things.
Yeah, stop relying.
And I had the privilege, growing up, watching him do these storyboards. I was allowed upstairs, and I could, he had an office upstairs, and I could go up and see him sketch and make some of these wonderful creatures in the rubber latex and stuff. So I had all that wonderful influence with him.
Vanessa, last question. What's your favorite movie by your dad?
Probably Golden Voyage.
Okay.
There's several that I like, but yeah, Golden Voyage was the first one, and I was on set for Guanji too.
Oh, okay. How about you,
That
Connor?
was very early.
What's your favorite Ray movie?
I'll go for The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. That was Ray's first colour movie, and in fact the first major stop-motion movie to be shot in Technicolor. A magical film. If you've not seen it before, I recommend checking that out. You can see some of Ray's most iconic creations there.
You're starting to remind. We haven't even talked about Eye of the Tiger, right? With the golden minotaur, the metal minotaur.
Minotaur, yeah, Minotaur's just that. And did you know Minotaur? Because Minotaur was a combination of stop motion and live action, and the actor that played Minotaur in the live action sequences was Peter Mayhew, who went on to play Chewbacca in the Star Wars movies.
I did not know that. Now that's a nugget there, Connor. I like that. So, is Minotaur coming to Tucson?
Yes, Minnetonka will be there. You'll be able to see Minnetonka.
Good answer, Connor. Good answer. Are you guys both coming? You guys are both going to be here, right? So
Yeah, we're there.
Yes.
We're getting ready to fly over later this week, and we'll see everybody in Tucson. I'm very excited about it. It's going to be a wonderful exhibition. Really great location. The museum is so perfect as a venue to display Ray's work.
we are America's best city for Mexican food. So I don't know if there's anyone trying to push Mexican food on you people in Edinburgh. Don't buy into it. So if you need help, Emily.
No, we need
Don't
the real
worry,
food.
I'll get him set up with some good Mexican food.
Absolutely. So, Emily, if I hear you took him to some chain crap, I'm going to yell at you. So
Never.
All right. Vanessa and Connor, thanks for sharing your love of Ray, and have a safe travel to the U.S. And can't wait to see what we see at the Mini Time Museum. And Emily, thanks for you and the Mini Time Museum for bringing it to Tucson. So
Thank
we
you
made it
so much
happen.
for having us.
Thank you both. Thank you
you.
guys. Connor,
Bye-bye.
Vanessa, Emily, God bless. Keep up the good work. And again, Mini Time Museum opens up September 30th and goes through May 3rd. They're over on Swan Camp Low. All right, Dave, zip us away to visit some great sponsors. When we come back, I will give you some review and comment on the Charlie Kirk Memorial yesterday. Ted Maxwell, 7 o'clock. Brother Joe, after that, you're on the Live the Dream Media Network. First day of autumn, going to get more coffee.